in our community. Sumter is a beautiful place. Rural Sumter County is absolutely beautiful, and we just have to be more attentive. We wanted to share this with you. I'm asking council, and I think they will be in agreement to take some additional measures to address this issue, but we wanted to share this with you because we're putting all the cards on the table. Mr. Chairman, I think that concludes my report from the public safety.
Thank you, Mr. Washington, for that report. Land Use Committee meeting, Mr. Deeds.
Land Use Committee met this afternoon, and we continue to discuss solar developments and how they can be regulated and what the county council, how we want to handle it. And we took no action, just looking at different ways that we may decide to regulate. That's my report.
Thank you. Come now to report from council members on other meetings, trainings, and art conferences.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one issue I want to talk about a little bit in sincerity. The NAACP has been hosting a variety of community meetings around the county, and generally what comes up more than anything else is the education of our kids, Sumter School District. At our last meeting, which was on Saturday at St. Paul's AME Church, I guess we must have spent 30 to 45 minutes discussing this issue. Ms. Gilmore, who's the president here, 2 hours. 2 hours. I guess time got a little bit away from me. But here's what I want to share with council in all sincerity, and this isn't a rant, this isn't a beat down, but I want to share this information with you. The school district, or at least the item, has published the results from the comprehensive salary study that shows that Sumter School District lags the market and needs to adjust annual non-instructional staff pay up to a total of $3 million to be more competitive. The market survey area for comparison included comparable districts based on geographic proximity, student enrollment, and districts that have a strong reputation for competitive pay. In the study, it says that Sumter lagged the market at entry-level positions by 7.2%, middle management by 4.1%, and management positions by 2%. I know that some have said that some of the salaries are too high, but this study suggests otherwise. It says the non-classified jobs in the study included a full spectrum: food service workers, custodians, paraprofessionals, bus drivers, and so forth. But here's what really concerned me. Part of the study says that the pay for entry-level positions is so low that the district often must hire substandard people and train them extensively for those jobs. Now, I know that we have a lot of businesses coming into Sumter that want educated folks, and it's hard for us to accomplish that if our folks are not prepared. In the independent study, the consultants also provided staffing recommendations that the district establish an additional chief of schools, 7 additional curriculum coordinators, and also consider adding social workers and psychologists. Those annual position costs are over and above the $3.4 million figure. I don't know if you want to read the report, but it's 261 pages. I'm not asking council to do anything to change what we have done this year, but I offer this as food for thought for the upcoming budget because again, this is another quality of life issue. It affects economic development, whether or not businesses decide they want to relocate to Sumter, it matters. And I think it's something we need to take a serious look at in our upcoming budget. And I know the school district has reserves, but let me just say, the school district got in trouble a few years ago when they used their reserves. They were put on some sort of, I don't know, suspension or overwatch by the State Department. And so they're timid on that. And I just think we should regroup and rethink how we want to manage this moving forward. So I make this presentation in all sincerity, and I ask council members to think over this over the next several months when the budget comes back around again. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for allowing me to make my comments.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to follow up on some of the things that Councilman Washington alluded to. As we know, we talked about the salary study, which is long overdue, which should have been done in 2011 when the schools were consolidated. But the failure to do that resulted in many years of other employees in the district being underpaid. And I often talk about them being paid slave wages, which was true. This study proves that. But I want to look at something else, because what I'm seeing is very, very disturbing in this county. And that is the education of children and the education that they're receiving in elementary school. In 5 years, from 2019 to 2023, we had 6 failing elementary schools. They were considered priority 1 schools. And priority schools are based on the last 3 years of test score data, which means that our elementary school kids are not meeting state standards. They are failing at the beginning. And my saying is, as the twig is bent, the tree inclines, which means that if they are not caught up, you're going to see the results. Now, the results is that we had failing middle schools. So the kids are going into middle school failing because they failed in elementary school. Fortunately, we only had 1 high school, Lakewood. It was a failing school. But we only had 3 high schools. So you could say 33% of our high schools are failing. So what does that mean? That means that we are not investing in economic development. We say that economic development or education is the backbone of economic development, but we don't invest in it. In the last 7 years, we invested $375,000 in our school. Come from this spot when we had an opportunity to invest over $9 billion. So what does that mean? Exactly what it's saying is. We are lagging behind. We are not competitive. We need $3.4 million just to catch up with the lack of pay that we are paying school employees. Which means that if we are not paying our employees ensuring they have a quality of life. It reflects on the quality of education that our kids are receiving. And that's why we have so many failing elementary schools. One school, elementary school, was identified in 2019 as being a failing school. 2023, they're still a failing school. So it's time for us to get serious. We're either going to give the school districts the money that they need, or we're going to sit back and let our kids be the pipeline to the jail. And then when they get there, you don't want to take care of when they get there. So let's be for real. It's time for us, it's time for this body to start funding education in Sumter County. It's time for this body, and you might get upset, but I must say it, it's time for this body to stop practicing systemic racism in this county. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Monthly reports.
First one is on Thursday, council members are to attend the firefighters annual banquet that starts at 6 o'clock and is at the Civic Center. Also on the 28th, early that day, the South Carolina Works will be at in Sumter as well as in the Manning area. It'll be at Patriot Park from 10 to 2, and they wanted to know if any of the council members will be there, especially the chairman. And Esteem, I think I already have the names of the council members that decided to participate in the festival. If anyone else plans to attend, please let me know immediately so I can get in touch with the proper people on that.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make sure I heard Ms. Bynum. You said they especially wanted the chairman? Okay.
That was one little way of saying it. They would like all the council members there.
Very popular, Mr. Chairman.
The commander's breakfast is tomorrow. So council members know who's supposed to be attending that. And Clemson Extension is asking council members to please attend their advisory committee meeting. And I have a few names already for council members. But if you're interested in participating, please let me know before you leave tonight. And this is in the future, but if you'd like to help with the military appreciation, it's a really great event to go out and help feed the soldiers and their families. And then the planning information is in your packet. And tomorrow, the planning meeting will be at 3 o'clock, and I'm sure Helen would be glad to see you there. That's it for me.
Mr. Mixon?
Mr. Chair, just a quick reminder to council and information for the public that we've had a great conversation about litter earlier today and covered in this meeting, so I won't elaborate on that. But just to say that we are, I think, making great progress in the community as it relates to the litter issue, but we also acknowledge we have a long way to go. And as Councilman Washington indicated, yes, we will likely have to come up with additional funding so that we can continue that effort. But on October the 21st will be our third quadrant stash to trash effort. That will be held at Lakewood High School from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. For those of you familiar with that, we have a 4-quadrant process that we are working through, and this will be our third effort. This focuses all our resources primarily for a month in the areas described. The quadrant 3 would be south of Highway 378 and east of Highway 15. so the Lakewood area all the way up to 378. We engage the schools heavily. We're working with churches. We're working with industry. But this is an opportunity for the community to get involved in this, and we certainly encourage everybody to participate if they could. There'll be free t-shirts for the first 250 folks. There'll be door prizes. There will also be a number of competitions between some of the schools that we will also award prizes for. So again, excellent opportunity to get engaged, get involved, and find out what's going on in Sumter as it relates to litter. Please participate if you can. Thank you, sir.
Come now to the public comment portion of our agenda. Citizens are invited to speak to county council. All comments are to be made through the chairman. If there are any questions, they'll be answered after the meeting. Anyone wishing to speak to council, please come to the podium, state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes. Public comment is now open.
Good evening. My name is Lorraine Muhammad, and my subject is about change. People do things automatically. Some things are done out of habit. You're taught certain things, and they don't change anything. You just automatically do it. And I have a short story I want to tell you about this brother that came from Ghana. He joined the United States Army, came to America. He was stationed in Georgia, had a big mansion and a whole bunch of children. He wasn't used to the size of the house, but he dealt with it. With all the children, he sent for his mother to come from Ghana to help. So one night, all the children had gone to bed. The wife was dealing with one of the new babies, and his mother was vacuuming the house. He went ballistic. What are you doing? You're not supposed to be doing that. Son, what are you talking about? What's the matter? He said, you don't clean at night. Let me tell you the story, son. Back in the village, everybody did their daily routine. At the end of the day, they all sat around the fire and talked about the things that they had accomplished and they had done. They told their stories. They passed on the folklore. They passed on the knowledge and information to everybody around the fire. Well, they didn't clean at night because somebody may have lost something in the dark. So they waited till morning to clean up. All he knew was that you didn't clean at night. But he didn't know why. It wasn't explained. It was just that way. Listening to, every time I listen to everybody else, if to me, in my mind, it falls into what I'm thinking. The schools are doing bad because everything's the same way. Why? How come nothing changed in 2011? Because everybody just does the same thing. For whatever reason, just follow suit. Nobody's learning anything. They're just doing. And so the point I'd like to make is change doesn't hurt. Change can educate. Change can uplift. But you've got to be willing to do it. And that's all I want to see. Change. Something better for the children. Something better for the neighborhoods. Stop throwing litter everywhere because that's what was always done. You can throw this out the window. You can keep on going. But you haven't changed. And the litter's not going to disappear. The children are going to disappear. They're going to keep fighting in schools. You can take telephones from them. Keep them out the schools like they keep them out the jails. You got people trolling in the schools with telephones, boosting up fights, and then posting it on the internet. Children, So who's following who? We need to make some changes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hunter.
Good evening, Mr. Councilman and other council members. My name is Catherine Washington, and I just came to point out some observation out in the Waitsfield area. When you turn on Milton Road off 261, that brush on the side of the road is so overwhelming, and the log trucks are coming out that swamp, and the kids on the side of the road waiting for the bus. I'm afraid something terrible is going to happen. I don't know when they are going to cut it, but it's just an accident waiting to happen. On Pasture Road, the trees are going over the road. The bus gotta go by the slow to keep from tearing the bus up. So I just want to give that observation, the brush on the side of the road and the trees growing over the road. And I think it's a danger for the kids and everybody else. If we have an emergency, you can't even pull off the side of the road because the brush is so overwhelming. But I thank you for your attention, and God bless you.
Thank you, Ms. Washington. Anyone else?
Good evening, County Council and citizens of Sumter County. Brenda Williams is my name of the position here in town. My group, the Family Unit, is a 501c3 nonprofit charitable organization. We are involved in a lot of things. Two matters we are concerned about that Highway 378 76 project. We hadn't heard or read anything recently in reference to that ACOM, AECOM group of engineers that has been hired, very good group of people. I personally met with them on one rainy day in the area where people have been killed trying to cross the highway. And according to those very sophisticated engineers, about 77 crossings occur every day at 378-76 area where those individuals have been killed 77 times a day. They had cameras and drones getting statistics. Since the past 5 years, 4 people have been killed, including a little 9-year-old boy, January 2022, trying to cross that highway to go to the store. I say those things to say this. I don't know what the conclusions are of the ACOM engineers, but I would certainly hope that when those suggestions come before your council, think about the primary cause of that study is for safety, trying to save lives. There is no cost on a human life. There is no cost, no price on a human life. Man, woman, boy, girl, child. So, if it takes putting a bridge across that highway, which might cost $23, $24, $26 million, it is well worth it. With 77 people crossing that road on foot every day. So why not, please, ma'am, please, sirs, be attentive to the fact that safety of those residents is main thing. There's a lot of property being for sale on that South Pike area. A lot of money can be made from stores and shops and those kind of things. I'm sure the entrepreneurs have their eyes on that. And so we are hoping that focus on the people, the lives, the safety. Give the RTA people more money. They transport poor people. Please. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hunter.
George Bates from Wedgefield Council. Sam, audience. I have 3 things I'd like to bring up today. I brought them up over and over again, but I'd like to repeat them if you don't mind. Number 1, I'd like to thank Councilman Washington for taking care of those nasty railroad tracks in front of Spans. They had the ties ripping up out of the ground, and they were one heck of a bump going over them railroad tracks on the way into Wedgefield on 763. Number 2, one of our speakers tonight said with Fathers Coalition that they've saved the county over $3 million. I'd like to suggest you take some of that $3 million and buy some more sheriff's equipment, more sheriff's deputies, and fill those unfunded positions that are still being vacated at the sheriff's department and the correction center, if I'm not mistaken. Also, with some of that $3 million plus that may or may not have been saved, that may still be available, I should say. How about 1 or 2 extra codes enforcement agents to go around the county and cite some of these homes that are just junkyards, trash bins, blowing all around the neighborhood? And thank you very kindly for your time, and y'all have a blessed day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bates. Anyone else? Seeing none, public comment portions.
Looking for adjournment.
Have a second again. Moved and properly seconded that we adjourn. Any discussion, all in favor?